I've got the looks and the charm of an old movie star. Cary Grant, if you will, so I find it bizarre that this girl should refuse to step into my car. She must be shy, she'll come around, it's just a matter of time. Aurora, Aurora.
Hey there, Screen Beans, and welcome to Screen Snark, a podcast that celebrates all of the shows that are in our eyes, on our minds, and in our hearts. I am Rachel Corky Shank.
And I am Matt, a.k.a. Stormageddon.
And we are back on our bullshit.
I feel like it's a requirement to say that every episode now. Like, we might
Yes.
get, like, complaint letters if we don't mention our bullshit.
Maybe. I don't know. We don't get really many correspondences.
That's
so...
true. If you do want to correspond with us, you can send an email to screensnark@gmail.com or just tweet at us, which is probably better anyway.
Probably better, yeah. Directly at us, you know. Just get it. Do it. Do the thing.
Before we get
Get
too
at
far
us.
off the rails, I do want to introduce our guest, also so I don't forget how to pronounce his last name, which is, of course, the incredible Mitch Punpayuk. Mitch, thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been awesome to listen to your show, and now to be on is even more of a pleasure. So thank you.
Aw,
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Thank you for taking the time out of your life to come chill with us and talk about movies and TV and stuff.
I mean, I'm going to be talking about movies and TV anyways, so I might as well be doing it on recording.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Hashtag content.
Content with a capital C.
Do it.
So we're going to talk more about Mitch and Geek Elite Media, which is his podcast network, which, you know, some synergy. Mitch has been a guest on Another Pass several times. I edited an episode recently that we may spoil a little bit of later. We'll chat because I'm excited for its release. Although it may end up being out by the time you hear this, so who the hell knows? It's the internet.
It's the internet. That's
Yeah.
right.
Also, as of this recording, we are still under COVID social distancing isolation.
Yeah.
And we're banking a lot of episodes, not to like get it so behind the curtain, but like I'm only saying this because like I'm usually very topical and relevant, and I'm saying this with hopes that I'll be like, oh yeah, we're still in the midst of the COVID stuff, but when this episode comes out, like we'll be good, we'll be fine, and then it's like it'll be great.
You're much more optimistic than I am.
I'm doing it to be hopeful.
I know.
I know that's probably not the case based on our release schedule,
Yeah.
but I'm just here to say I'm back here in the past making this podcast before you, the listener, are listening to this podcast, and I am manifesting a speedy recovery for the world.
Well, that's definitely a nice optimistic message to put out there.
Thank you.
Now thinking about our show order, though, I'm pretty sure this will be out by the time the next Another Pass you're on is out. So with that, we'll talk about that in a bit. But first, as we always do, we are going to start by talking about the things we've most recently watched. And
Yes.
actually, in relation to a certain point of view, our lovely network, and a running gag that I've carried for over a year, I think, at this point.
Yes, never drop the gag.
The most recent thing I watched is actually the Bruce Timm Superman, the animated series cartoon,
Oh, wow.
Ooh, fun.
which is on DC Online or DC Universe or whatever it's called, the DC streaming service. I've been heckling Case since the announcement of Men of Steel to have me on when they do the animated series of Superman, because while I'm not a diehard Superman fan, I love that cartoon, and as far as I'm concerned, Tim Daly will always be my Superman, because I hear his voice when I read comics, much like I hear Mark Hamill when I read The Joker. And I love Batman the Animated Series growing up. The only reason I jumped into Superman was because of that legacy of the cartoons, and we're finally going to buckle down and do that episode. We're recording it soon. As of when this comes out, I don't know if it'll be out yet, but we are going to record that episode soon. And so in order to do that, we're going to discuss the pilot, which is 3 parts, which I'd forgotten it was a 3-parter. We're going to discuss our favorite episodes, both hosts and myself. And so I just want to talk a little bit about how much I love Brad Garrett and how Lobo in the animated series is the best version of Lobo ever. He's just so good. And I forgot that he always keeps referring himself to as the main man. He acts very Deadpool. There's a lot of heavy metal riffs. In fact, the famous Superman theme from that cartoon, which they use all the time whenever he does anything heroic, has a couple of like metal riff covers in that episode, which is super neat. But it was really exciting to revisit the show. Like, while it's not in HD, and so the animation looks okay, but the quality is not what I'm used to seeing because everything's in HD now. The show absolutely 100% holds up. I assume that both of you have seen this cartoon.
I believe so. Yeah.
Definitely have.
And for me, like that era of superhero cartoons, and Rachel, I think we've talked about this before, and I know you've talked about this on your other podcast. The superhero cartoons that came out in the 90s and early 2000s are some of the best cartoons we've ever gotten, from Batman to Superman, Justice League, Spider-Man, X-Men. And so they
were formative for us as viewers, and for the people that I think are making superhero stuff now. Like, we're not that far in age from the people who are making the superhero films, like.
For sure. And I think a big part of it is, like, at least for me, like, I liked comic books as a little kid, but it wasn't until like early adolescence and teenagehood that when those shows came out, like, that defined my knowledge of those characters. Like, when I think of the X-Men and when I think of Batman and when I think of Superman, I think of how the characters were portrayed in those cartoons. You know, like, I forget that Morph was a character created for the cartoon who eventually comes into the comics, but he didn't exist until that cartoon happened, you know, or the version of Batman that we think is the most famous version of him, dark and brooding with like a sick, like kind of dark sense of humor, is not how Batman always was. For a long time, that wasn't him. That's how he is thought of now because of those cartoons.
Yeah, that very gothic-esque, like, Gotham. Yeah, there it was. Obviously, you know, I mean, it's why I'm so excited to see this very, very pointy-eared version of Batman.
Yes.
That's coming up. Like, please, pointy ears. I want this exaggerated. I want this, like, out of this world. Like, it's all cool that we've been doing this, like, gritty, realistic, super powered individual kind of thing. But, like, I like the escapism of superheroes, and it's why I really love animation, because you can really get into that element and really play with it.
For sure.
You know, and it's gotta say something that 30 years down the line now, we still crave Kevin Conroy as Batman, the voice. You know, like, people still want that. They don't want other actors. I mean, we do have other actors do the voice of Batman in those animated movies, which are still part of that same Timverse. Like, that same animated DC animated universe is all still connected back to those Superman and Batman animated series from the early 90s. That is incredible. I mean, what other franchise can really say something like that?
Yeah.
Other than Doctor Who.
Right, because that's been around forever. Yeah, I think that what really stood out to me rewatching the 3-part pilot. So what's interesting about the pilot of Superman, the animated series, and since it had been a long time since I saw it, I'll break it down. Like, the first episode is all on Krypton. It's all the death and destruction of Krypton, the plot of Brainiac, and sending Superman off into the stars. Then the whole second episode is them finding him, his childhood, and then, like, him coming to Metropolis and, like, just his, like, earliest rescue missions, and then the whole ending with a plot that reveals the first time we see Lex Luthor for who he really is. Like, it ends with this iconic scene. One of the last scenes is after Superman has caught the bad guy, stopped the mech, and found out that it was Luthor who kind of, like, shanghaied the press by trying to steal his own tech to sell it by having terrorists attack. The whole scene where Superman confronts Lex, Superman says nothing. He floats there with his arms crossed, his feet together, his cape in the wind, and Lex is, like, trying to appeal to him and then try to succor him and then gets mad because he's not talking. And, like, this whole dialogue plays out without Superman saying a word, and then he just says, "I'm watching you, Lex," and flies away. And it's so good. I mean, also, like, the voice cast in the Superman animated series is on par, if not, I would say, just as good as Batman. I mean, like, I love Clancy Brown for a lot of different things, but as far as I'm concerned, Clancy Brown is Luthor. Like, that voice is so iconic. And it's like every time I see Clancy Brown in anything else, like he was most recently, for me, I saw him in The Mandalorian. He played the Devaronian, the giant devil character, alien. And, like, hearing him talk, I'm like he's growling, but I still hear Lex Luthor in there because it's pretty much his speaking voice.
Yeah.
But and there was oh, I'm sorry. I was just to say you don't every time they get someone else to do the voice of Lex Luthor, I keep going back to Clancy Brown. I'm like, it's just not right. It doesn't sound right unless it's Clancy Brown.
There's something about the depth of his voice, the resonance, that just, it adds a level of not just deviousness, but like this power fantasy just in the way he carries himself by doing that voice. I mean, what I think is so iconic about the Superman cartoon is just how much these voice actors put into this show, and like even the guest cast. I mean, this is going into the weeds a little bit, but I have a friend who wrote a Superman spec script, and he wanted to do like a read aloud where he casted the parts amongst his friends. And I was originally cast to play Jimmy Olsen, which I was super excited about. I was like, yeah, I get to be peppy Jimmy Olsen. It's going to be fun. I get there and I find out that the person he cast for Superman canceled last minute. And he remembered me geeking out about Tim Daly. And he's like, so do you want to play Superman? And like, this wasn't recorded. This isn't a movie that was made. This was literally just a spec script that a friend of mine wrote. But I got to play Superman in voicing a feature, which was so cool. And what was even cooler is friend of the podcast, Katie Bug, who did our logo, was Kara Zor-El, was Supergirl. And so we got to play off each other. Aww. It was so much fun because we're siblings from other parents in life. And so to play that kind of a close relationship, it was just so fun. And my performance, if you can call it that, was absolutely based on Tim Daly. Like, and I don't even know that I planned for that, but it's just, there's something about his cadence as Clark and as Superman that is unlike any other performance of Superman. I'd say Brendan Routh in the recent crossover event comes close because he's got the same kind of attitude and delivery once he was allowed to do it himself. Mm-hmm. And so I'm really glad I'm revisiting this cartoon. I may watch the whole thing. It was only 3 seasons. I remembered it being longer, but like I may just go into the weeds and watch all of Superman, rewatch all of Justice League. Like all of those cartoons are some of the best stuff. So
as of now, we have time. So
that is definitely true. I don't know. My Animal Crossing island needs a lot of work and care.
Oh my gosh, me too. So. I'm sitting here on this podcast, and as soon as we're done, it's back to Beach City. I have fish to catch.
Fish to catch.
Got fish to catch. What's on your island, Matt? What's your fruit?
My fruit is pears.
You have to come to my island. I have cherries.
I would love to come to your island. We're yet to be best friends on Animal Crossing. I know.
So. We got to figure that out.
I
got peaches, I got oranges, I got cherries.
I
don't have pears.
This is a podcast about movies and TV. We're talking about
fine.
Animal Crossing.
Everybody understands that Animal Crossing is the salvation of humanity right now.
Yeah. But yeah, so back to Superman.
Back to Superman.
I love this cartoon. If you want to feel good, like watch this cartoon. Like I've had a love-hate relationship with Superman. For the most part, I don't really like him as a superhero. But this cartoon made me believe in Superman because it was the purest form of the Boy Scout justice, but without the like the ignorance that goes along with it. Like he was not naive. He was good and kind, but also would get angry and would fight and would freak out. And it was I think it's the most multidimensional Superman has ever been, and is what the DCEU should be aspiring to.
Yeah, I've actually been doing a little bit of extracurricular Superman research, and ended up reading a couple of Superman's origins, just to like understand the character a little bit more. And what's so fascinating about Superman is in his first appearance in Action Comics, like what he does, like his first act that you see him do as Superman is stay in execution for a woman accused of murder. He's like, that's not the woman who did the murder. He breaks into the governor's house, and it's just like, this is the craziest choice to make. Like, this is a character that represents like truth, justice, and like the quote unquote American way.
Yeah.
And the first thing that he does is go, Governor, you have to stop this execution. And it's just like the coolest thing.
Yeah. It's cool to see where he's come from, and it's, again, the cartoon has renewed my faith in his stuff, because like his movie appearances have just, like, besides Christopher Reeve, God rest his soul, one of the best live action Supermen. I feel like, you know, I would say that the guy whose name I can never remember who plays him on Supergirl does a great job. I think
Tyler Hoechlin.
Yes. I'd say of the modern Superman live action, he's one of the best. But I get sad for Henry Cavill. He doesn't need my sympathy, but like I like him. I like him as an actor, and he just got the short end of the stick, I feel like.
It feels like we as a zeitgeist don't know what to do with Superman, and I think that's really tragic because there's so much to be done with a character like Superman.
Yeah.
You know, if he is analogous of immigrants and even the working class, like, hi, I don't know if you know this, but like class consciousness is on the rise right now. And if you can't have a character who is all powerful and good and also just like has to have a fucking job, like now's the time, guys. You are maybe we stop making the Batman the billionaire guy who doesn't divest his wealth. Maybe make the one about the guy from middle America who is an employee of a company and also moonlights as a guy who can fly and saves people, sometimes just by being nice to them and telling them it's okay. Like, I always think about that panel, I think it's from All-Star Superman, with the goth girl on the roof.
Yes.
And like, hi, that's utter perfection. Anyway, I'm a Superman stan over here. I love him. I love him so much. It's my boy. I love that Superman. So anyway, any other thoughts about Superman before I ask the age-old questions?
I just wanted to say that like one of the episodes of that particular series that I love because it introduced me to a classic Superman story is the For the Man Who Has Everything episode, where they introduced the Black Mercy. It's like I hadn't really started reading comic books at that point in my life yet. I just started, I guess, for the most part, but getting to see a classic story like that, where you know that Black Mercy is immersed him into a world that's pure fantasy, but he has to break out of it because he knows it's not real, is so good. And then it also introduces into the Timverse my favorite Green Lantern character, Kyle Rayner. You know, he is just an artist working for the newspaper, for the Daily Planet, but I got to see him animated in the show, you know, because otherwise it was, Justice League comes along, it's Jon Stewart, and I think at one point they show one episode in Justice League Unlimited as Hal Jordan, but we don't have, Kyle Rayner's just in the Superman animated series, I believe. Kyle Rayner's okay. I'm an old school Hal Jordan stan. I know I'm cliche, but I mean Bruce Timm did eventually direct a 3D animated Green Lantern show that I think got 2 seasons or 1 season. That was really good, but no, at the time, like it was after the Green Lantern movie tanked, and like it was meant to be concurrent to like have 2 versions of Green Lantern out, and because that tanked, interest in the cartoon I think tanked too. But yeah, there were a lot of guest appearances in Superman. Like Batman had guest appearances, but not nearly as many until the New Adventures of Batman and Robin, and that was after Superman had existed or was coming out. But I think it was really Superman that set the groundwork for Justice League, because it had so many guest stars, and it had what we know now as these versions, like Green Arrow played by Alan Tudyk. You know, a thing that we would have never gotten without Justice League and Justice League Unlimited. Ed Asner as Granny Goodness. Like, how great is that?
It's so good.
And then I was going to say was, Oh man, I lost it. Oh no. Yeah, because what you were saying with the guest stars or guest characters in the Superman show, because Batman series was, I mean, usually they just stick to Batman characters, like things that would only come across. But the Superman show, you would get characters from all of the DCU, like, kind of thing. So
yeah, totally.
This is why animation is superior. You don't have to like cast somebody who looks remotely like the character that you want. You can just draw them. You just draw them and be like, "Hi, voice actors, like, hello, come voice this." It's so funny to me that we're talking about this and thinking about like, yeah, Clancy is my Lex and Conroy is my Batman. It's so strange to like have this conversation about like who's like our like OP, like who's our like the thing we cling to, and it's a voice actor. I love that so much. I think that speaks volumes to, again, like, hello, welcome to my soapbox, the power of animation and like what it does. Just, and then you like watch other things and you hear their voices, like the thing that I'm going to talk about. Actually, I just watched an episode where Clancy was in it and I was like, I know that voice. I love that voice. It's a good voice. But yeah, it's so fascinating to have that discussion when we have so many versions of these live action heroes, and we're always just like, no, give me Kevin Conroy, like Mark Hamill for the win. I just love it. I think it's evidence for my argument for animation coming at you. But yes, Matt Storm.
Mm-hmm.
If you had to sum up Superman, the animated series, in 3 words, and you cannot use Superman, animated, or series. You can use the if you want to, but like, what a throwaway word. What a waste of an opportunity. How would you describe Superman, the animated series?
This one I actually have on deck. It popped into my head.
How dare you?
I would call it True Blue Hero.
True Blue Hero.
Nice.
I love it.
And before we move on to you, Rachel, really quick, I need you to know that I watch Netflix pretty frequently now that I'm home. My banner ad has been Castlevania for a while because I had been watching it and because I'd watched other things related to it. Without watching anything new, the minute I opened it up after we recorded, because the internet is always listening, the banner splash was Beastars. And I was like, it's like it's following me. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my it's on my list though. I've added it.
It's so good. Listen, if Animal Crossing hadn't come along, I would still be thinking about Beastars.
I'm sure.
I'm not gonna lie. Like, it's so weird and so good. I love it. I want to rewatch it and I want to read the manga. Like, I'm so in. I'm so in with Beastars.
But
it's horrible.
But that said, Rachel Quirky Shank, we're not here to talk about Beastars again. I mean, we could, but
we could, and I would.
I know you would.
Please.
What is the most recent thing you have watched?
So the most recent thing that I watched to completion was 2019's Cats, and I've talked at length about that movie. And
you're a catspert. I check.
I'm a catspert, apparently. That's weird. And also, to be honest, didn't enjoy my second watch very much, so don't really want to revisit it.
Okay.
I bought it in HD, and that was a terrible decision. It really ruined the whole experience.
Because you can see everything.
Because you can see everything. Like, I think Cats 2019 needs to be like a VHS horror movie. I think it's greatly like made better when you can't tell that it's like CG fur technology. Like, Monka Strap's head would move in ways, and I was just like, I hate it. This is a nightmare. Turn it off. So I gotta watch it like low def, like on my projector in like the dark. So I can't see Monka Strap's horror face just move. I hate it. Anyway, so I'm not going to talk about that because it was bad, even though I love that movie so much still. Instead, I'm going to talk about something that I'm in the process of watching, which is Star Wars Rebels.
Oh, nice. I've yet to watch Rebels, but I've heard great things.
Yeah, so I just watched an episode where where Clancy is like the old governor of the planet that they keep coming back to, where like our main character's from. So I was like, hey, I know that voice. This is a good voice. But yeah, so Star Wars Rebels takes place during the power of the Empire. And you meet a ragtag team of misfits as they are sort of like a cell of this growing resistance against the Fasci Empire. So the main character is a young boy named Ezra Bridger, who is an orphan growing up on Lothal, and he happens to be a very good thief. So he meets his soon-to-be found family after trying to steal from them, and afterwards, you meet this cast of characters. You've got a Twi'lek pilot, a human Jedi. There's a Jedi in the mix. A Jedi. Surprise, there's a Jedi. A young Mandalorian woman. And a Lasat, a big, hairy, like, cat face kind of guy, voiced by Steve Blum, and it's
Amazing,
so good.
of course.
I love Steve Blum to the ends of the earth.
He's the best.
And it just rings so similar to like Firefly, you know. It's sort of like the mission of the week. It builds after the second season. Like I've hit the point where our ragtag team is now part of the rebellion as it is growing. You know, you're meeting Bail Organa, you meet Darth Vader, and I keep sitting there watching this show that has some of these really like cool bad guys, these Inquisitors who are like Sith, but they're not Sith. Like they have red lightsabers, but they're not Sith, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, here's this really cool snake-looking man. I love this. Why isn't this in any of these goddamn movies?
Right.
What are we doing? This is the coolest Snake Man. Like, he's a Snake Man and he's got a lightsaber and it spins on an axis. It's like double side. It's so cool.
That is
also,
awesome.
Sarah Michelle Gellar voices the other Inquisitor that you meet in the second season, the Seventh Sister. And I'm just like, yes, 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 yes. I love Sarah Michelle Gellar. So it's been a treat for the whole time. I only have one story complaint, and I won't spoil it.
Okay.
But there is sort of a mysterious buildup that doesn't really pay off in the way that I would like, involving Ezra's background and his history and his family. So I just feel like it was this big thing, and it sort of like whimpered out of existence. I don't know, Mitch, if you've watched all of Rebels, if you know what I'm alluding to.
I don't. I might get kicked off the show at the moment. I am just not the biggest Star Wars fan. So
Totally
That's okay.
Okay. I've watched all the
I'm
movies.
not either.
Oh, okay. I've watched all the movies. I haven't really watched any of the TV shows I've watched The Mandalorian, and I haven't watched any of the animated series. The show, I think, if I understand correctly, the show you're talking about is very topical because of the whole Ahsoka being cast, like Rosario Dawson being cast as Ahsoka in Mandalorian?
In The Mandalorian.
Correct?
Yeah. Ahsoka does make some appearances in Rebels. Spoilers for Clone Wars, but you already know, everyone. You've seen the internet. But yeah, she's not a super main character in Rebels so far, as I've seen. I'm about halfway through season 2.
So everything you're saying is pretty much, I don't have
it's
any,
out there, right.
I don't have any reference for what it is that you're talking about.
Cool, yeah. Because the thing about Star Wars is, for me, I think Star Wars is at its best when it is serialized. Like, I've watched a lot of the Clone Wars.
Yep.
That was a bit of a hurdle to get through because I was not in love with the animation style. But like once I got accustomed to it, I think some of the stories that they're dealing with on Clone Wars are just brilliant. Like times that they're really talking about the humanity of these clones. Like, yes, you're all made of the same DNA, but you are not the same person. Like, you are individuals, and even this like nuanced discussion as you get into later seasons about the role of the Jedi in the Republic. You know, you have some really valid points about how the Jedi used to be these peacekeepers, but now they are in the war. They are part of the war. They are part of the fight and the problem, and I love it so much. And I just think Rebels is doing a really good job of filling in the gaps in a way that I don't think something like Rogue One does as successfully, because I feel like Rogue One answers a question that we didn't need an answer to,
Yeah.
but I think that Rebels and Clone Wars give this breadth and this depth to stuff that we were always kind of interested in. Like the moment Alec Guinness says, Alec Guinness or Allen Guinness?
Alec, I
Alec.
believe.
Alec Guinness, thank you. The moment Alec Guinness says, I fought with your father in the Clone Wars, in episode 4, like the very, very first one, you're just like, ooh, Clone Wars, what's that like? And then the Clone Wars are kind of this blip in the cinema history, but in Clone Wars you get all of this information and all of this like nuance and political intrigue. You know, you've got neutral planets and hijinks that ensue. Like Obi-Wan gets sort of like this extra life. Like you meet a character that he had feelings for and almost has this beat for beat love story with, but he chooses to stay with the Jedi and not stay with her, and it's just so good. It's like I could eat this. Like this is what these movies need. They need some humanity and to watch Anakin sort of live his double life, not in this like weird sex pest way, but in this I have a duty and an obligation to what I have, but I also love this woman so much. I just think it's stellar. But that's Clone Wars, and I'm not talking about Clone Wars. Let's get back to Rebels. But I do think that Rebels does a lot of this really great play in this really cool world that's been established. You know, we don't often go to the main places. Like every once in a while we'll mention Coruscant or something similar, but a lot of times we're just in deep space, you know, seeing new places and meeting brand new characters. And the Inquisitors are so rad. Like just watch it for the Inquisitors, because their designs are so cool and their lightsabers are rad as hell, and I just love them. So they're so evil and I love them. But yeah, so it's really just this found family story. Like, what do you do with the family that you find, and how do you make a difference with your small bit of access and power, you know? Like, they have a ship, they have missions. Sometimes the missions go well, sometimes they don't. They fight like any family does. I think it's so charming and so fun, and just like it makes me feel good.
I mean, honestly, the thing that you said that sold me on it the most was that it's like Firefly.
Yeah, it is like Firefly, like very much so.
But I've been wanting to watch Rebels and Resistance for a long time, and I haven't had the time or the connection. But now that everything's on Disney Plus, I really want to go back and watch them, because I loved the Clone Wars animated movie, even though I know a lot of people didn't. And then I loved the series. I don't think I watched all of the Clone Wars series, but I watched up until when, I guess, spoiler alert for a show that's been around a while, but when Darth Maul came back, like, I remember being so excited, because also he was being...
What? Darth Maul came back? That totally didn't happen in that weird Solo movie.
Like, what's really cool about Darth Maul in that show, in the animated show, is that he was played by Sam Witwer, who is already a Star Wars alum for playing the now non-canonical Starkiller. And so for him to come back and play this villain was pretty neat. But that said, I've heard nothing but good things about Rebels and Resistance. And I did, you know, Addie and Ben, when they were still doing the Star Wars show, Certain POV, they talked about it a lot with a lot of hope. They didn't always love every episode, but there was a lot of love for the show as a whole. And I mean, also Ben and Addie are the most optimistic Star Wars fans I've ever met. So like, but yeah, it's definitely on my radar, and your talking about it just makes me more excited to eventually get to it.
Yeah, I think it's doing a really great job of doing the thing that I always want Star Wars to do.
Right.
I just want to see characters play in this world. I want to see different kinds of droids. I want to see different characters. And it's kind of this really great thing where, yes, there is fan service. You do see characters from the original trilogy, but they're never so in it that they detract. You know, like, we do meet Darth Vader in this. Obviously, we have to.
Yeah.
Like, Grand Moff Tarkin is also there. But most of the time, we're dealing with the members of the Empire that are in charge of the small planet that they go to,
Right.
or the Inquisitors that are specifically hunting this band of 5. You know,
Right.
it's so its own thing in the way that the Mandalorian is so its own thing, that I really appreciate it.
That's awesome. I wish I had seen it so we could talk about it, but I'll definitely bring it up once I've
It's
seen
okay.
it. That said,
We should really have like follow-up segments where
we
we're
should,
like,
where
I
we
finished the
return-
thing.
yeah.
How did it turn out?
right, yeah. But that said, with what you've seen of Rebels so far, if you had to sum up Star Wars Rebels without the word Star Wars or Rebels, how would you give your 3-word review of this show that you've been watching for a period of time? I'm trying to fill the space, Rachel, giving you time.
Thank you.
I do what
Thank you
I
so
can.
much.
Can I ask, is this the show that Freddie Prinze Jr. is also on?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
because
he
you said Sarah Michelle
voices
Gellar.
the Jedi.
Okay.
Kanan. Yeah. So I was really excited when Sarah Michelle Gellar was the voice of an Inquisitor who's like fighting him. I'm just like, they're married. They're still married, and that's my favorite. Yeah, for sure.
I will say,
I guess-
I will say, Freddie Prinze Jr.'s rant about the Star Wars universe,
I love that.
is just the best, most pure human, like, I love Star Wars thing. Like, yelling at the people who's like, well, you can't do this. It's like, dude, they're wizards in space. What are you talking about? Like, it was the best.
This to quote friend of the podcast Patrick Willis.
Yeah.
This is I'm gonna say a show because there's movies and shows. This is a show about space wizards intended for children.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, correct.
This is an animated series about space wizards intended for children. It is a literal children's show.
Correct.
Deal with it. Anyway, my 3-word review would be intergalactic found family.
Nice.
Because that's what it's about. It's about the family you find. I
Amazing.
love them so. I love all of the characters. I love them. Sabine, Mandalorian, I love her. She's hot-tempered. Her hair keeps changing colors. I feel a great connection to her. The Twi'lek pilot, love her. She's so good. Hera, amazing. Just like she's competent. She's confident. She's so good at being a pilot. Episodes that focus on Hera, I'm just like, yes, give me this, please. Kanan, he's so tortured but so sweet. He's so unsure as a teacher. I love him. Ezra, adorable. I love him. I love him. I love that stupid plucky droid who's such an asshole.
I mean, all good droids are assholes. Let's be real.
This one's especially an asshole. Like, he goes out of his way to fuck with them.
That's amazing.
And it's the best.
Amazing.
It's like,
All right.
so good.
We'll definitely
So
have to
good.
check it out. All right, Mitch, you're up. What is the most recent thing you, sir, have watched?
Okay, so if I'm allowed, I would give a little bit of a history in Mitch for the moment.
Sure.
All of last
Yes.
all of last year, I took it upon myself to challenge myself to do the 365 movie challenge. So every day I watch a different movie.
Oh, wow. That's
Most of the
amazing.
time it was something that I hadn't seen, but a couple of times I went and watched something that I wanted to, or because it was like, a certain week, Christmas week, I watched some Christmas movies that I had seen already. So I didn't get to watch a lot of TV shows, so to speak. So in the last 2 weeks, seeing as I found a lot more time, not that I've been off work because I've been working full time, but my weekends are a lot more isolated, so to speak.
Right.
I have caught up on a lot of things. I finished off Mindhunter season 2. I finished off Altered Carbon season 2. I saw the new Netflix movie Spencer Confidential. I watched a whole bunch of procedurals from TV because I love cop procedurals and medical procedurals. But the thing that I watched most recently, and I'd love to talk about, is how The Haunting of Hill House from Netflix.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Because I didn't get
I've
to
heard
see
very
that.
good things about it.
This show is incredible. Like, I'm not the biggest horror fan in the first place, but this long story, serialized version of telling a ghost story was so enthralling because the way that Mike Flanagan breaks it up, it's the same family in two different points of time, but the way that it's shot is that so many times is like right when something is about to happen, it cuts to the different time period. So then you have to come back later and then rewatch it from the other person's perspective to get the rest of the story. So
cool.
For the 10 episodes, you're really watching the same thing kind of over like 4 different times, but it's still good. Like you're seeing it play out in so many different ways that I enjoyed it a lot. And most of I mean, I already had a huge crush on Carla Gugino. She plays the mother of the family, and just watching her play against Henry Thomas, who, I mean, most of us know as young Elliot from E.T., correct, right?
Yeah,
so
sure.
As an adult, as the father of this family, and then the older version of him is Timothy Hutton, it plays out so well, and the creep factor is there, and it's always there, but there's not a lot of jump scares, that
That's
most
good.
Yeah, they are there, don't get me wrong, but
Right.
it doesn't rely on it as much. I loved the way the story was told throughout all the episodes. It was the last episode though that I would say severely disappointed, but that was only because the show built up so well to that point that it was going to be hard for it, at least for me, to end in a satisfactory way. And I felt like it missed, so to speak.
And you said you're not a typical horror fan, like you're not a giant horror fan?
Correct. Yeah, no.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen the main ones, but when you break down to like, Freddy versus Jason or Nightmare on Elm Street 8, I don't tend to go and check those out that much anymore.
Yeah.
But I saw It Follows. I didn't see Lights Out, but a lot of the bigger ones. I saw Us. I saw Get Out. Like those, the ones that make the biggest splashes. I usually try and check out. I haven't seen Invisible Man yet, which I really want to. I've heard great things about.
It's supposed to be very
Same.
good. Yeah. The reason I ask is because I'm not really a horror fan. I've talked about this on the show before.
Nor am I. Yeah, we've definitely the listeners will know that we have opinions about what horror had been for a long time in our aversion to it.
Right. And for me, I can't really do jump scares. Like my heart can't handle it. My anxiety can't. And what and you mentioned Us and Get Out, and like those two movies I love. They made me just the right amount of nervous or anxious, and the levity of the comedy within it made them watchable. And like, so for you to say that there aren't a lot of jump scares, they're used sparingly, and that it's more about suspense and creep factor, like those are the kinds of things I like in a horror movie. I can't do torture porn. I can't do jump scares. Like,
no.
And what I've heard about Haunting of Hill House is that it's kind of like the right amount of what's scary, but in a way that's fascinating as well as terrifying.
Absolutely, yeah. If you enjoyed Us and Get Out, you would definitely enjoy Haunting of Hill House. Like, and I knew I wanted to watch this before Haunting of Bly Manor, the second season, comes out. I really want to see what they do, because I don't understand. I mean, I know I could probably just look it up in the articles, but I don't quite understand if they're doing more of a American Horror Story like anthology kind of thing, where they're bringing the same actors back to play different roles, or if these actors are coming back and playing the same roles as just a new house kind of thing.
Huh. I wonder.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, I know that I was late to the game, especially with a lot of the people that I interact with, for watching this series, and I just thought the way that it was filmed was so cinematic. Yes, cinematic in the way that, especially the scenes that are in the past, so to speak, looked more in that Gothic era kind of film style, and then the stuff that's in the quote unquote present is more flat, like in the way that horror movies are shot now.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really
Cool.
interesting. That's really cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it's something that's definitely been on my list as something to check out due to curiosity. Also because like investing in a horror movie in the theater, if I don't like it or I can't watch it, like it's hard to then remove
True.
yourself from it. Whereas like if you're watching something on Netflix, well, I can't stand this, and just turn it off. It feels more approachable.
or even just like pause it, break the tension
Right.
yourself. You know, like
Totally. Cool. Well, Mitch, if you had to summarize Haunting of Hill House with 3 words, but it can't be haunting, hill, or house, I'll give you hill. You can use hill if you want, but no haunting or house.
yeah, hill's fine.
How would you review this show, this complete season, in just 3 words?
Well, since I can't use the word house, I'm going to go with dwellings are evil.
Nice.
Dwellings are
I
evil.
like it. Good. That's good. Well done.
Yeah. No, I would say that, like I said, late to the game for most people. If you get the opportunity, give this a chance, watch it, and see if you agree with me on this ending. Like to me, I can see what they were trying to do. It just felt like it fell apart.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Endings are hard.
That's
Sometimes
true.
ask Stephen King, right?
Yeah, endings
Burn.
are difficult,
Stay
but-
down,
Oh,
Stephen
boy.
King.
Stephen King burn.
Yeah. Listen, I'm about 3 episodes away from the ending of all of Steven Universe, and right now I'm like, give us a good ending, please.
Oh,
give
right,
us.
yeah.
It feels like it's building up to a very good ending. Oh boy,
I fell off.
The chips are so high now. I'm just like, oh gosh. Listen, Game of Thrones did me dirty. Listen, I just need something to end really good.
Yeah, I've only seen the first 6 episodes of Steven Universe Future, so I need to catch up.
Yeah, it's probably going to be what I bring to our next episode when we.
Okay, so I'll try and watch it
'Cause,
for
like,
the next
it's-
episode.
It's
When does it end?
Saturday.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
as of this recording, Saturday. So it will already be out by the time this episode airs.
Okay,
So
excellent.
If you haven't watched Steven Universe Future and you're listening right now, people of the future, do it.
Go do
it's
it.
so good. It's going places that I never imagined. Like a cartoon about a funny kid who's got a gym in his belly could go. Like, it is so real. Like, Steven is dealing with shit there, and I cannot believe it's happening. I can't believe we're having this conversation on this show.
We're
and
not.
I'm just like so excited.
We're not yet. I want to catch up. We might have to bring our good friend back to discuss more Steven Universe with us.
I don't know if she's
caught
caught all
up?
up yet.
All right, you'll have to
it's
find out.
tough because the cable.
Yeah, that's true. All right, well, let's shift the conversation to our incredible guest, Mitch. So, Mitch,
Yes.
you have your own podcast network, Geek Elite Media. Tell us a little bit about the network, the kind of shows that are on it, the kind of stuff you make as a podcaster and as a creator, and just give everybody the elevator pitch.
Okay, so the straight up elevator pitch is we wanted to create a space community where people could come and talk about anything that they geek out about. It didn't have to be just video games, comic books, movies, TV shows, or anything like that. You wanted to come and talk about, horse dressage, then this would be the place to do it.
Nice.
But unfortunately, I haven't had anybody talk about that yet. I want to. But it was us. It was my group of friends, and we were constantly always talking about these things, having these discussions, and it's like, well, we should start recording it. And from there, it just spurned into more and more shows. So I myself do a movie podcast show on Thursdays, a TV show podcast on Sundays, where we talk about whatever is the big kind of water cooler show at the moment. We just finished up with The Outsider from HBO, and we're moving on to Russian Doll because Russian Doll 2 season 2 is supposed to be coming out soon.
Mm-hmm.
Russian Doll's great.
That particular show started off with being about Game of Thrones. So when Game of Thrones wasn't on, we were like, well, we still want to talk about something, and we can't talk about Game of Thrones if it's not on. So it just moved from show to show. Tuesdays is about all the comic book TV shows that are on the air. Wednesdays is a comic book show, and Friday is my own personal interview show. I usually find someone that has any type of I don't want to say expertise, but passion about a certain subject. I've had artists and actors and writers and podcasters like yourself, and this is an open invitation for either one of you or both of you at the same time to come on my show and talk. But I've had so much fun with that. We just passed I just passed my 100th episode on that particular podcast,
nice.
Where I actually had my best friend who does the movie podcast show with me interview me instead of me interviewing him.
That's awesome. That's really cool. That's really smart to do. Well, I happen to know a few podcasters who might be interested in being guests on that interview show. Rachel's looking around. You can't see it in the video, though. Confused as to who I might be talking about. Because also, if you like to talk to people who are passionate about stuff, I am that idiot who has 4 podcasts because I hate free time.
No, who needs it, right?
I'm actually producing a brand new live streaming show and podcast that I'm going to pitch at the end of the show because I don't do enough. I'm not hosting that one, though. I'm only engineering the audio version. I'm not doing any of the talking, thank God. But that sounds really great. I'm curious because I know that Rachel and I had struggled with this show, and I know others who have. When creating shows that change, like either the subject matter or the style or the format, how do you push through something like that? Is that change always because you don't feel it worked, or were changes like when you change the subject matter, it's just because the thing is over and we need something else? Like, what drives you to make those kinds of changes to shows?
I've definitely had both. Like I said, with the Geeks Watch, which was originally a Game of Thrones podcast, the show ended. We still wanted to talk, so we did switch over just because we needed a new subject. We needed new content. However, on one of our old shows, the VHS Gems, where it was talking about movies from our childhood that was you found on VHS, but not the ones that most people talk. We wouldn't talk about The Princess Bride. We talked about Suburban Commando with Hulk Hogan, kind of thing.
Nice.
So we had to change the format of that show because it just wasn't. It wasn't sparking, I guess is the best way to put it. So we just redid it so that it was more of a not just review, but kind of idea of what other people thought of this movie when it came out, sort of thing.
Okay.
Yeah. So that is, I mean, that happens. I guess I've always just because I guess Hey Mitch, which was my interview show, did start off with me just more having conversations with people, and then it became more about interviewing, finding people to interview and talk to, and stuff like that. So.
So you have a ton of shows, and I know something like I made a joke before about having 4 podcasts, and that I needed an additional show, like I need an additional hole in my head. But that said, do you ever find that you're doing too many shows, or do you just hunger to do more and want to make more stuff? Because for me, depending on the day, it could go either way.
I think you're absolutely right. Most of the time, I don't want to be the host anymore. I keep coming up with shows so that other people can host. But usually, because I am the host on, I think, all 5 of the shows I mentioned, or at least one of the hosts on all 5 of the shows. And then we started up a fantasy football podcast when football season was going last year, which I was one of the 9 hosts on that. Jeez. So it's just, I am trying to push myself to not be the one on the microphone anymore. I'm trying to push it so that I can get other people, like my fiance. I love her. She is coming up with a Women of History podcast, which I am helping her produce.
That's awesome.
And it's more of the lesser known women of history, and she's going by state, which I think is incredible. So as they entered the union, so to speak, the first state she's talking about is Delaware. Another show, my buddy of mine who does the superhero TV show podcast with me, he's decided to do himself a true crime podcast, which
cool.
I mean, it's a lot of them out there, but like I've always said, is that no one has your voice, so you might as well go ahead and say it too. And
totally.
I'm all for that. We're about to start up once again, something else that's saturated in the field, a video stream or not stream, it's more of recording, but it's a D&D game. Like,
sure.
So
actual play podcast kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. in my local my little city that I live in, it got around that I had this podcast network. This group came to me and said, we have a D&D game. We'd like to put it on air. We want to be a part of your network. So I was like, yes, I will help produce that. I don't have to be on it, which is great, but I will help produce it. And so we got the local video game bar to be the place where they can shoot it. And
that's cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It's going to be great. However, we obviously had to put a hiatus on the start of it because we were supposed to start at the beginning of this month. And so that's all been postponed at the moment.
A tiny invisible meanie had other plans.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. I guess I'm really curious actually how you connected with Case. I'm sure this has come up on another pass, but we love Case here on Screen Snark. We give him shit, but we do love him.
We love Case.
And so I'm curious,
even if he does the punctuation wrong.
even if he does, but no
matter what, it's always wrong.
I'm curious how you got involved with certain POV and connected. Since you've been a guest on a bunch of stuff at this point.
So the funny thing is because it's another podcast that you guys were guests on. It was Let's Rewatch. I got in with those guys, became quick friends with them, met them all in person at San Diego Comic-Con. I want to say 2017, and I was a part of their show. It must have been 2018. Either way. Was a part of their show, and then Case had been on their show a bunch of times. The two of us then started talking on Twitter, I believe, and from there he invited me to come on another pass. I invited him to come on Hey Mitch, and and that's what it is. Let's Rewatch is that hub.
That's amazing. That's really cool. And so funny. I thought that you and Case knew each other first because I knew you were on Let's Rewatch, which I've been on, and Rachel and I together have been on. But I thought the connection went the other way around. That's really funny. I love the Let's Rewatch folk. All of them are super kind.
They were great.
Such good humans.
Such good humans. Sam and Brett still ask me when I'm coming to visit and telling me I can stay with them. It's just, they're really good people. And I can't help but want to bring more stuff on. I mean, I already have a standing invite because we talked about Scott Pilgrim so much off air together that as soon as we hit the 10-year mark on Scott Pilgrim, although they broke the 10-year rule recently with Iron Man 2, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But that said, I'm going to be a good boy and wait. But I have a standing invite to come back for Scott Pilgrim because it's one of my all-time favorite movies. Recognizing that Scott Pilgrim is a douchebag, don't be like Scott Pilgrim.
Yeah, they're all pretty terrible.
That's true, except Knives.
True.
To be honest,
except Knives.
Knives is
Knives. Knives is it. Knives is the only good person, and the best thing that happens is she doesn't have to be a part of that toxic crew anymore.
No.
Matt, when you said that on the last episode of Let's Rewatch you were on, I almost had to tweet in and be like, Matt and I might have to fight because I am also one of the biggest stands for Scott Pilgrim versus the World.
That's amazing. Yeah, that
it's okay. You guys can have it. I'm still waiting for my invitation to bring on Cats Don't Dance.
Yeah, they'll bring you on for it eventually. You just got to keep pestering them like I did.
Scott Pilgrim, throw my head. I'm sorry, I did throw my hat in for hackers, though. I told them if they ever do hackers, that I have to be there.
Nice.
I love it.
Yeah. No, yeah, I mean, I'd be happy to share the spotlight with you, Mitch, if we both came on for Scott Pilgrim.
Yay!
That's one of those movies that, I walked out of the theater and literally went, they made a movie for me. Not my kind of people. Literally, that movie was just for me. The jokes, the relationships, the actors, the cast, the music. I mean, as a music nerd and a video game nerd, it's one of those perfect movies. I argue to the death that soundtrack is one of the most perfect movie soundtracks because you can picture, and some people might consider this a negative, but I think it's a positive. You can picture the entire film as you listen to the soundtrack. And I love that.
The music and the story are this wonderful symbiosis.
Yep.
I feel, to be honest, I feel that way about Birds of Prey.
Oh, sure, absolutely agree there too.
I walked out of that movie and I was like, they made one for me.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know this.
Yeah.
It's it's mine. And that soundtrack, just like anytime I listen to it, I'm just like, oh yeah, this is whenever she's walking down the street.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like you just feel it, like, because it just becomes so integrated and so key and crucial to the story that you're back in that story every time you hear the music. That's why I love musicals too, because like that's what they're doing also.
Well,
Wait, you love musicals?
I do.
Your sarcasm was lost on Rachel. She'll go off on musicals anyway.
Listen, there's something so. Okay, not to derail, but I watched Anna and the Apocalypse.
I love that
and
movie.
I've
I
heard
was
good things.
So prepared to be like, this movie is gonna rule, and I did not.
Oh, really?
Well, the thing is, I come from a musical theater background, and so. It's the same problem I had with the Descendants trilogy, which I finished the trilogy of Descendants. Don't anybody worry.
I was.
Yeah, I know. Listen, it's a big fear. But for me, when it comes to musicals, the reason that something has to be put in the format of a musical is because characters are hit with such emotion that they cannot speak anymore.
Yeah.
And that is when they start singing. And then that emotion becomes too intense. That's when they start dancing. And for me, Anna and the Apocalypse, none of those songs really were born out of that emotional need to sing, and none of the songs were written to reflect the story going on. It's just we kind of paused the story for a while to sing that we're sad teenagers. It didn't really, and so that sort of like will always take me out of a piece. And the moment you don't earn your songs for me is the moment I will not respect you. Like I don't know. It's just I'm so trained by that Howard Ashman Disney musical kind of sensibility, like that old golden age of stage musical where you have your character on the stage, spotlights on them. It's 8:15, babies, time for that want song. What does our character want? And I do not find out what Anna really wants.
Yeah.
In her music, like I understand she wants to move away, but I did not feel it in any of the musical numbers. There was the one moment where they're in the park in the snow, and they're both like sad. Like the boy and the girl are both sad. And we're cut from them being sort of like sad. They're like, well, I'm glad we're friends, but we're still sad. And the next day they're like, it's a brand new day and everything's great. And it's like, you didn't earn this. You didn't earn this. You can't just be like, we're sad in the snow and then it's fine, it's tomorrow, but they're zombies. It feels like that movie was just that musical number of they're excited, they're young, they don't notice, but the zombie apocalypse is happening behind them. And I don't think they built any more of the movie after that. They're just like, that's a cool idea. I don't know, let's just fill in the rest.
I'm sure there was that one song was written and they were like, well, let's build a movie around this, like kind of thing.
Yeah, it definitely feels like that was the centerpiece idea. And then they were just like, and we'll make it a musical. How do we write a musical? I don't know, just put songs in it. So it's a musical.
Let me ask you this. Have you it's alright to take over the interview.
No, do it.
No.
Have you seen, there's two different pieces of content then. Have you seen Sing Street?
I haven't.
Okay.
Wait. No, I haven't. No. I was like, wait, nope.
Not exactly a musical, definitely not a traditional musical, but if you like musicals, I have to ask you to watch that. It's a movie. I thought it was great. Unbelievably great. I loved all the songs that they created in that, and for some reason have not gone out and bought that soundtrack yet. Okay. With that being said, are you currently watching Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist?
I am also not watching that. I have to do myself the favor and complete Crazy Ex-Girlfriend before I can commit to any other musical television show. Like, I think Crazy Ex-Girlfriend is so brilliant that I need it first because I got burned so bad by Glee. Bad by Glee.
Yeah.
So bad. And Crazy Ex-Girlfriend was like, here's the thing that you want. Maybe one day you'll trust again. And then I tried Anna and the Apocalypse, and it's just like, no, I'll never trust ever.
Well, hopefully I don't steer you wrong with Sing Street and
sure
Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. I mean, if you love that, I can't stand the emotion's so big in me. I need to sing. Like it's that kind of.
Good. Good. It's you gotta emotionally earn that song. It's not hard. Animated movies do it literally all the time. Literally, like Cats Don't Dance. This stinking movie that I love, where Scott Bakula voices a cat who moves from Indiana to Hollywood. It's great. But yeah, if Scott Bakula as a cat can earn songs, anyone can.
To attempt to get us back on the rails. And
Never.
And before we wrap up, I do want to ask Mitch, as a big old nerd who is proud to be a nerd, what kinds of things are you really into right now? Maybe name a movie, a TV show, and a video game, or a board game or tabletop that you're really into right now.
Okay. Well, man, that's incredible. Okay.
Wow, we just became pop culture happy.
So like I said, I love procedurals. And so all those Chicago shows I'm watching, I've watched both new seasons of 911. If you're watching that, it's bad. It's trash TV. I understand that, but it is so good.
It's okay. I obsessively watched Bones. I get it.
Yes,
I'm with
Bones.
I watched Lie to Me. I loved Lie to Me.
I loved Lie to Me too. Yeah. Tim Roth on TV. Come on.
I wanted more of that. I was so pissed with the way they ended it. They barely finished the second season. I was so mad. It was such a good show.
And then, if you like that kind of stuff, Deputy also.
I've heard good things.
It's so good because you think it's really going to be. You really think that it's going to be this guy who's a conservative because he's a deputy and stuff like that. But they're playing both sides. This show plays both sides of, yes, you do the thing that is right, but then also being a kind person and compassionate is the thing that is right. Like it's so weird.
Yeah.
So Stephen Dorff, he's playing one note. It really is, but I'm okay for it. I'm there for it. Like it's really about those side characters on that show, and I'm all for it. So TV wise, that's all the things that are good for me right now. Movies, man, I went and saw Bad Boys for Life. I don't know if anybody watched that.
I haven't gotten to see it yet.
I haven't. I'm still back on Bad Boys 2. I gotta catch up.
It's so great that there's so much time in between all three of those movies. Because, Bad Boys 2 comes out, and they're not like their characters in the first movie. To the point where they're more exaggerated. Everything about them is so over the top that it's comical. This third one comes back to being like, they are still kind of that way, but now they're the over-the-hill guys. They are Danny Glover and Mel Gibson at the end of Lethal Weapon 4. It's like there's new ways of doing this stuff, and you guys just don't want to adapt. And of course, it's more like, hey, our old way does get results, but it doesn't get the best results, kind of thing. Right. And but it was so good. Like, it had the right mixture of comedy and action and straight up playing for cheese to the camera kind of thing. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. So that was great. And last weekend with Geek Elite Media did a Netflix party watch with a whole bunch of people. On Netflix, there is a 2018 movie with Topher Grace of all people called Delirium.
I've heard of Delirium. Yeah,
so good. I couldn't believe it went under my radar. Did not hear about this movie ever until I looked it up on Netflix, and it was so good. Like, for Topher Grace in a house for the most part by himself, really good.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Awesome.
Video game wise, I unfortunately have not played any video games in a very long time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I loved games. I think the last game I really loved was Portal 2. And I'll go back to that every once in a while. Yeah, I'll go back to that every once in a while because I love puzzle games, so to speak, more than any other video game. But it's with everything else that goes on, and
sure.
If I'm sitting down and relaxed, I'd rather just watch a movie or a TV series.
Also, it's important to note you watched a movie every day for 365 days.
Yeah. That'll keep you busy.
That is a year of I do not play video games. Like,
Yeah, pretty much.
that is I have dedicated myself to this one avenue of content consumption. So
Yes.
If you had said, "Oh yeah, no, I played all of Breath of the Wild," I'd be like, "You lie,
Liar.
can't.
Not possible.
You can't do both. Like you can't.
No.
You just physically cannot do both."
Could not. I mean, I do only get like 5 hours of sleep a night, but I still want that 5 hours. So there's that. Did you ask about comic books?
I didn't, but please tell us if you've read a comic. That you really
comic
like.
books. I'm still just a big DC Marvel fan, so I don't tend to go too far out of those two companies. However, I did just interview an artist by the name of Eric Ninatowski. Sorry, his I believe his as of recording this, his interview show should come out tomorrow. So by the time this comes out, it should already be out. If anybody wants to go check it out, he has a creator-owned Indiegogo comic book coming out called Shadow Sentry. He let me read the first issue. It is so good, and the art is so amazing. So anybody that would love to check that out should definitely go to his website, ericninatowskiart.com. Sorry for throwing in a cross promo there.
No worries.
No, it's fine.
We asked you to recommend, so that's what you're doing.
And then board games. So board games, my fiance loves board games, and she recently introduced me to. I know it's weird because a lot of other people have already played it, and because of what's going on right now. But Pandemic, I just played it for the first time.
I got a copy of Pandemic as a gift very recently, and it's so weird that it's on my shelf now. It's actually holding up my computer. So, like, I have Suro, and I've got Pandemic just sitting here staring at me, just like, good.
It's
weird.
So weird and so appropriate.
Yeah. Pandemic's a fun game because it's you versus the game. You know, it's you and a group of people versus the game. And
yeah, that's why I also like games like Forbidden Desert, some version of the Rick and Morty Total Recall game you can play as a completely collaborative.
Yeah.
Like you are all trying to find the parasites in the house. It's great. I love that because it's so much more fun when you all like win or lose together.
correct. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, when playing that for the first time, I was like, so this is like the inverse of Risk. Like instead of you're in the globe, but instead of everybody fighting each other, you're fighting against the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then also Mysterium. I don't know if anybody.
I love Mysterium.
I love
Okay.
Mysterium.
Yeah.
I own that. I own that. It's on my
Full
shelf.
disclosure, I have nearly 80 board games in my
Nice.
house.
Yes.
There's so many. Like it's so tragic that we are currently in sort of like social distancing isolation because I live with my partner and no one else, and there are so many games you cannot play unless you have 3 or more people, and it's so sad for me.
You know what's so funny is that
It's so sad for me right
So
now.
sad
when
for
all,
you.
when
It's
all of the globe
terrible.
is suffering that I can't play with one other person.
it's until
No, there's
Elizabeth came along, I mean, I didn't play games like that. I played board games. Like I have a collection of Clue games. Like Clue is my favorite board game. So I have the Doctor Who version, the Rick and Morty version, the D&D version, the classic version, the updated version. Like I keep collecting Clue board games. Not that you get to play them all or anything, but Trivial Pursuit was all, the kind of things I did. But now she's getting me into all these other type of games like, what was it? Secret Hitler, Werewolf by Night.
yes, so
Yes.
good.
Hidden Werewolf
So,
or
these are
whatever.
so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So all those type of
Oh,
things.
Secret Hitler's great. Oh, it's so fun. I have friends who love that game so much after I taught them that they were like, bring Secret Hitler to New Year's. And I was like, I am not explaining Secret Hitler to a room of drunk people.
Nope.
You will.
Nope.
There is no amount of money in the world where I have to sit there with like a drink in my hand going, so some of you are fascists and some of you are not. Don't tell anyone if you're a fascist. Obviously.
Obviously.
Sounds horrifying, but that game rules.
It is a good one. Well, thank you for all those recommendations, Mitch. That's great. Thank you for talking and coming on the show. Before we wrap up and ask our final question of you, why don't you let folks know where they can find you on the internet, on social media, where they can find Geek Elite, all of that stuff.
So you can find me personally on Twitter, where I do a lot of my interacting in. My Twitter name is Mitchipedia GEM. GEM stands for Geek Elite Media. The rest of Geek Elite Media, you just look up Geek Elite Media on any social media. So it's that on Twitter, that on Instagram, and that on Facebook. You can go to our website, geekelitemedia.com, for all the archived episodes of our podcast. And then we also have, I have a few people that write up articles, on many different subjects. Nothing like news articles. It's all opinion and editorial stuff like that. Reviews. We have some video game reviews and stuff like that. But yes, Geek Elite Media on all those platforms. Listen, podcast catchers, anywhere you want, you can find us.
Awesome. Excellent. I guess we should thank some people, Rachel.
Yeah, let's do that. Yes. First and foremost, I would love to thank John Presnell for the use of the song Aurora off the album Fair Game featuring Stefan Remble.
And it would be my pleasure to thank the incredible Katie Bug, who has been my streaming partner lately, for creating our incredible logo. We tend to stream on Sunday afternoons. We'll be playing a lot of Animal Crossing. You can go to twitch.tv/DJ_Stormageddon and watch us be cozy and play some Animal Crossing on Sundays.
Amazing. And I would like to thank the Certain Point of View Podcast Network for letting us be a part of your found family. When the revolution comes, I will be so glad to know that y'all are my allies in this.
Yes. If you want to join in the conversation about this podcast, you can go to certainpov.com. There's a permanent link to our Discord server and join in the chat, both about this podcast and other podcasts. I mean, most of the chatting about this podcast has devolved into Golden Girls chat, but I wouldn't have
Yes, which is
but I wouldn't have it any other way.
literally my dream. I have yet to finish the final episodes of Golden Girls, which is why it has not appeared here on the screen snark yet. I'm just going to finish the whole thing, and then we can talk at length about it.
Yes, we can.
But yeah, no, Golden Girls. Also, anybody notice the Golden Girls Picture It Miami 2020 like dialogue scenes? Somebody sent that to me, like, personally, and I was just like, thank you. I've never felt so seen. Thank you. I thought we were going to make it this whole episode and not talk about the Golden Girls, but here we are. But yeah, there you go.
And before you ask Mitch's question, I just want to quickly promote a new thing I'm working on, a show called Creative Quarantine. It's hosted by Angelique Rocher. You might know Angelique as a guest on one of my other podcasts, the host of Marvel's Voices, one of the hosts of The Radical Geeks. She's an incredible nerd who has decided that every day during the week for this quarantine, starting this past Monday, every weekday afternoon, she's going to do a new live stream with a different guest talking about art in this time and how we survive, how we make it through, and what we're working on. She's had James M. Eigelhart. She's had Stacey London already, and there are more interviews to come. You can go to angeliquerocher.com/creative quarantine to find out more info, or starting very soon on any podcast platform, I'm producing the audio side of the live stream that we are posting 24 hours later on any podcast platform under Creative Quarantine. So definitely check that out. It's on Twitter and Instagram as well. It's a really good show that's really trying to do some good in this shitty time by getting artists to chat and talk about what we're doing to create, get through, and survive. So check that out.
I love that.
Awesome.
Amazing. So now it is time for Mitch. Your
Your
final screen snock question. The one that you already know because you listened to the podcast. I don't know why I've become this character, but here we are.
I love it. I'm all for it.
This is where we've gone. So in the aged history of telling stories to each other, we have embarked upon certain aspects of storytelling that have elevated past lazy writing into a trope, a beautiful trope. If you could choose one trope, this is what happens when I don't get to go outside and be weird for other people. I'll bring it here.
You get to be Magenta from Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yes, it's going to be beautiful classic. It's fine. Don't you worry about it. If you could choose, I can't. We're done. It's gone. The magic's over. The magic died. was thinking about magenta, and I'm like, I don't sound like magenta.
Sorry.
But there are many tropes in the realm of film and television creation. And if you could choose one of those tropes to instantly become true in your life, what trope would you choose?
Okay, so I had to think about this one a lot before coming on the show, obviously, and I think the one that I really would love is the idea. I mean, in the past, it would have been, you're walking down the public library, you find that one book that's for some reason in the wrong place, and it has the magic whatever to then bestow a power on me.
Right.
Or as it is in Shazam now, it would be, or Shazam then either, going into the subway car and turning down the right area, and then all of a sudden the wizard bestows power upon me. So now I figure it would be I Google just the right words and I get to the correct PDF on Google wherever, and then now I have that spell that's going to imbue power on me, kind of thing. I get to
Amazing.
be a superhero. That's the trope that I want.
That's good. That's
The magic Google search engine.
Exactly.
I love that. Oh my God, so many times there's like on some not Google Ask Jeeves or Bing thing, and it's just like, what's this? I can't stop thinking about in Twilight whenever Bella's looking up vampire shit, and it's just like,
oh no.
this is the dumbest thing, but I want search engines to be like this all of the time, where it's just like really specific to what you need at any moment.
At any moment, it always pulls up
just
the
like
thing.
It just always knows. It's like, oh, I see you want to know about vampires. Here's real vampires. Don't worry about it, Bella. You got this.
Amazing.
Go nuts. Kiss that boy. It doesn't matter. It's fine.
Well chosen, well created, Mitch. That was exceptional.
I love that
Thank
one.
you. Thank you for letting me be on the show.
Our
I think
pleasure.
I'm going to think about that one for like a long time.
Nice. But Mitch, thank you for being on the show. This has been a blast.
Thank you, Mitch.
You've been an incredible guest. I am already thinking of what other shows I want to have you on now, so we will chat.
I am ready.
But thank you for being a part of this. This was great. I also want to thank, of course, my incredible, beautiful, lovely co-host, the incredible Rachel Quirky Shank.
Woo!
Stop it. Thank you. And I, of course, would just be honored to thank my co-host, my constant companion, my sibling from another podcast parent. I don't know, Matt, aka Stormageddon. Thank you for being here for me.
Man,
in this time of weird social isolation.
We need Mitch on more often just to be our hype person who can put in crowd
Yeah,
sounds. That
that
was
felt
amazing.
great.
No guest has ever done that before. That was perfect.
This is what happens when you get like 3 interview hosts in a room.
Right,
We're all
exactly.
just like,
Pretty much.
what, do you need this? Here's this thing. Like I'm here for you. Jeez.
I, of course, also want to thank you, our loyal listener. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
This show is nothing without you. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on your favorite podcast platform, especially Apple Podcasts, because it helps us to get featured and for more people to see the show. But until next time, we will see you at the movies or likely on a couch somewhere.
6 feet apart.
Bye-bye.
Wash your hands.
Really long
Wash
couch.
your damn hands.
Such a long couch. Boy, oh boy.
The longest couch.
It's a sectional.
Yes. Okay, now we're leaving. Bye.
Bye.